because they might say that somebody I know is attractive. And I don't like that.
I don't know any attractive people.
Well, you know me.
Bingo.
Exactly.
Oh.
All right, so let's Welcome to Atlas Balked, a weekly chronicle concerning the mundane, weird, and maybe even sometimes dramatic happenings of a simple fantasy baseball league. This podcast captures the thoughts and musings of Greg, Joe, Jack, and Tim, 4 of the 10 owners in the league. Download this podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, or wherever you get the podcast content you want to listen to with your best friend. You can also connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and email. DM us, or why not send us a note at atlasbalked@gmail.com. This is episode 80, entitled Nails. Well, good morning, Bacher Nation. We're so happy to have you here, and I'm looking at 3 shiny, smiley faces. J-Lo.
Feeling good, Lewis.
Trading places.
Yes.
Trading places, yeah.
That's right.
Okay. All right.
And then there was the porn version, Trading Faces.
Okay. Ready?
Right away. We're not in 17 seconds.
That's right.
I'm
There's
not
a
saying
porn
I
reference.
saw it. I just heard of it.
Now I know why you signed into the studio as Clowny McClownface. I
Yep.
get it now.
That's
I get
Joe.
It now.
Oh, 1970s comedy? That reminds me of porn.
Right, exactly.
Have you watched any lately?
Yeah. Speaking of Dan Aykroyd.
Oh my gosh. GK, good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen. I'm on quite a streak. Making it.
Is it 3 weeks in a row?
All right,
Yeah.
keep the bar low
Yeah.
for this one,
Yeah.
folks.
Right.
Keep
Cal
the bar
Ripken,
low.
watch out.
I'm ready to go.
Yeah. All right. Swag, good morning. How are you?
I'm good. What's happening, fellas? Hey, you guys know, you guys know Lenny Dykstra.
Nails.
Yeah, heard of him. Yep. I think we've even talked about him a couple times on the podcast.
We may have.
He was an 86 Met, too, right?
He was. Yeah.
Fuck the 86 Mets.
Sorry, Tim and Joe. Yeah.
World champion Lenny Dykstra. Also a complete train wreck. I don't know if you guys are familiar with
Yes.
Lenny outside of baseball at all, but he's,
I've heard of some things.
yeah, there's been pulling a gun on a Uber driver and some drug, situations, some financial situation. He's done a little time.
Oh, yeah. Didn't he make a bunch of money as a financial guy?
Yep.
Only to be like, I don't know if he lost it or if he was exposed as fraud.
It's interesting. He does, yeah. Financially, he had some situations. Actually, did some stuff with the Mad Money guy at one point. But
Kramer.
yeah. I just wanted to make sure as a reference that we knew who Lenny
Yeah.
was. And
No, our listeners do.
did you guys know that Lenny Dykstra and Charlie Sheen hung out? Were
Oh.
like to the point where like
Okay.
knew each other and hung out on a regular basis.
Let me guess that like Lenny was probably a fan of Major League and the Ricky Vaughn character and like identified with him, and so that's what like was the basis of their friendship. Like Lenny probably confused Charlie Sheen with the character that he played in those movies.
Actually, you're close. Kind of the opposite, it seems. They did meet in '93, which was just after the movie and during the Phillies run. And as I said, Dykstra was definitely the leader of that whacked out team with Kruk and Dutch Dalton and Wild Thing, Mitch Williams. So Charlie Sheen actually came, it was a game in LA with the Dodgers, and Sheen actually sent a note, I guess, to Lenny and said, hey, he wanted to hang out. He wanted to meet him. Brought him back to his place. I guess Charlie Sheen said, hey, you want to see me bat? And had this huge, according to Lenny, the nicest batting cage he had ever seen.
Wow.
And then Charlie went on to jump into the cage, tell him to turn it up to 90, ask Lenny whether he wanted him to swing right or left-handed, and jumped in and started ripping to the point where Lenny said he was actually impressed. Charlie Sheen actually had a solid baseball swing.
Wow.
So yeah, Charlie Sheen thought he was a baseball player and wanted to hang out with Lenny Dykstra instead. That was the start.
That's right. I can't believe these two guys. I still think you're making this up.
Their story starts in 93. It ends sometime in 2014, 2015. And there are a couple of highlights that I wanted to share with you guys. While we watched both of them as train wrecks throughout their lives, they were actually hanging out quite a bit during this time, I guess.
You know, my biggest problem with that story is if some strange guy I just met asked me to go back to his place and then wants to know if I want to see his bat, I'm going out the front door.
Joe is transformed from like the most straight-laced guy in the podcast to everything's a bizarre sexual reference.
You clearly don't know me very well.
God, I don't.
Your perception of me has changed. That's what's changed.
Yeah, and the prospects of knowing you well is becoming less and less appealing. Trust me.
Maybe that's my master plan.
Oi.
You want to see my bat, Greg?
Oh, no. God, no.
So as I said, they met in 93. They ended up hanging out that night and partying some. And years later, not too after Lenny's career had ended and his partying had started, becoming a full-time partier. At that point, he woke up in a recovery center. High-end recovery center. He wasn't sure how he got there, but he woke up there and it was him and a bunch of movie stars. One of them was Charlie. And he's like, hey, man, hey, how you doing? I guess Lenny freaked out. He was going to leave. Charlie talked him into staying, and thus Lenny, credits Charlie with saving him at that point. So then fast forward to, I think it was 2014, and they end up hanging out again. Charlie introduces his fiance. and they hang out for a day or two, and Lenny goes home. A couple days later, the fiance calls him, freaking out, and Lenny's like, "Who the fuck is this? I met you with Charlie, so on and so forth." She says Charlie has been locked himself in a room for 9 days smoking crack, and and nobody can get to him.
Winning.
And so Lenny said, "What the fuck are you calling me for? I'm fucking Lenny Dykstra." Like. She said, I've called a bunch of people from his phone, and they all tell me that you're the only person that can get him out. So they, again, the level of relationship, I'm not sure, but to the point where everyone else knows, oh, you better call Lenny. He's the only guy that's going to be able to help him.
Charlie, it's Nails. Let me in, goddammit. Save him some of that crack.
So again, this Lenny is the hero in all of his stories. So of course, well, I'll be right there, and hangs up the phone, and he shows up, and Lenny comes in the room, and the first thing he looks around the room, and the first thing he says to Charlie is, "Man, if you're gonna smoke crack, this is definitely the room to smoke crack in." He had Babe Ruth's ring and like a bunch of baseball memorabilia and. All kinds of other stuff in the room. Anyway,
that's what you want when you smoke crack. Baseball memorabilia.
Yeah. He had a theater.
Have, strippers and porn stars. Not baseball memorabilia. Well, I'm going to party hard this weekend. I'm getting on Babe Ruth's jersey, and I'm going to smoke some crack. Okay, go.
I think Charlie's our perfect target market. Now that I know that, like, come on.
So again, obviously, what the fuck are you doing? You're sitting here smoking crack by yourself for 9 days. Anyway, Lenny clears him up, throws away the drugs, gives him some more drugs, of course, Valium now, says go to sleep, and he says, I'll check on you. Lenny actually, and Charlie actually asked him to stay. So Lenny stays at the house to stop Charlie from getting more drugs. He knows he'll get more drugs otherwise. So now this dude's staying at his house, protecting him, getting him a pizza every fucking 12 hours or so. And that's about it. Anyway, he ends up getting, cleaned up and such.
Can I make a comment?
Yeah.
As I'm envisioning this story, like I'm imagining people all calling those individuals they think that Charlie would respond to, and then those people bringing like a close associate. So I'm seeing like Emilio Estevez rolling up there with Molly Ringwald or Judd Nelson. I don't know which. I'm seeing like Martin Sheen like on a fucking Jack Daniels fueled bender, being driven up with Francis Ford Coppola.
That's the fun vision. The reality is that Charlie seems like he was enough of a dick that he didn't really stay friends with too many people. You had to be Lenny Dykstra to stay friends with this guy for an extended period of time. So
sounds like a fun guy, actually.
Yeah. No, well, I mean, again, I guess your definition. So Lenny stays there. Lenny is literally staying in this dude's house, protecting him from himself. A few days go by, and Charlie comes into his room and says, "Hey, I got to talk to you." And this is, again, according to Dykstra, when Charlie first admits to having AIDS. And again, tells Lenny, to the point where Charlie's talking about wanting to die and so on and so forth. And again, Lenny supposedly talked him up, yada, 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 and got him through it. It ended badly. They don't talk anymore. Since then, Lenny has accused Charlie of murder.
Anybody in particular?
Yeah. Lenny's assistant, supposedly when Lenny went to jail, supposedly Lenny had let Charlie know that Lenny's assistant was considering doing a story on Charlie. Without Charlie's approval, to watch him, to keep an eye on him. So then, while Lenny was in jail, Charlie's assistant died of an overdose. Lenny gets out, calls Charlie. Says, "What the fuck happened to such and such?" And according to Lenny, Charlie's response was, "Oh, you mean dead Rick?" It's like, yeah, that son of a bitch was going to write that story. You said so.
Losing.
So I juiced his stuff. So supposedly, according to Lenny, Charlie gave this guy bad drugs, and to the point where he OD'd. So literally, on record, Lenny has accused Charlie of murder.
Well, there's a lot of humor in that story, but there's also a lot of sadness.
There is. It is. It's just.
I'd like to request that Detective Swag do like a very special episode of Atlas Balked, where he really digs in and does a Atlas Balked investigation.
The problem is he doesn't want to end up like Dead Rick.
I want to hear more about Dead Rick.
Yeah, that's kind of what I did, right? I mean, that's about as much effort as I'm going to put into anything, guys.
I want to know if Charlie really did kill Dead Rick.
Yeah,
House of
Justice
Nails.
for Dead Rick.
Oh. The two biggest fucking dumpster fires that I'm aware of actually helped each other burn throughout the years is fucking amazing to me.
Speaking of Charlie Sheen, you guys seen Denise Richards lately?
No.
She's lost it. She's terrible. She's not attractive anymore.
Been a little while.
Who's Denise Richards?
She was in Wild Things.
Yes.
She was in Starship Troopers, and she was married to Charlie. Super hot when she was younger, but boy,
that was
the
it.
bloom is off that rose, fellas.
Yeah, she was.
The bloom is off that rose, boys.
If you were married to Charlie Sheen, you might have had a little harder life than most as well.
Yeah. She's on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, and I watched that show. So.
Of course you do.
That
makes
explains a
perfect
lot.
sense.
Well, I'd
yes.
like to be one of those Real Housewives.
Yes, I'm sure.
Jim Richards, actually, is the one I'm targeting.
So thank you for that educational "Did you know" section. I thought you were going to tell me that Dykstra can do the Rubik's Cube in under 30 seconds or something like that. But
again, a little more extended this time. But
I didn't know.
There's more. By all means, if you guys,
I'd like to get one of them on the show.
According to him, there were also situations involving Mickey Rourke and Robert De Niro. So. Lenny Dykstra definitely has his story.
Dykstra or Charlie, they're just crazy enough. Like, those are the types of crazy people that agree to appear on podcasts like ours.
Right?
Maybe I'll send an instant message to his Instagram just on a flyer, like, "Hey, Lenny, we've heard about your assistant Rick, and we want to help you bring Charlie to justice. Would you like to come on with us and talk about it?" Honestly. I'm going to do that.
I know you will. There is no downside to that.
No, of course.
There's no downside to that.
If that doesn't work, ask him for financial advice. He'll probably respond.
Yeah.
Well, we need your nails.
We can hear some great Crux stories at the very minimum.
I'm sure.
So, dude, Philadelphia, man. What a weird sports town Philadelphia is. I mean, these are Philadelphia heroes right here. I mean, this is just off the rails. And at one point, I'm sure most Philly fans our age, Dykstra was at least one of their favorite players, right? I mean,
yeah, during that time,
he would have to be.
I really liked Lenny Dykstra. I really thought he was a great player.
He was
a great player.
He was a very hard. Yeah, he played very hard. I mean, that's what he was known for. Nails, obviously. It came out later, I guess, and he's
proud. He always had that big chew in.
He does say with pride that he was one of the pioneers of the roids. Which makes sense if you followed his career. He did take a little jump in power there towards the end.
Yep.
He's and that team was, again, you guys aren't Philly, but you guys know that team. You know what I mean? It was the bunch of bearded,
like
beer
that.
drinking,
Cool.
idiots.
Kruk.
Yeah. And he was one of the leaders, him, Dalton, and Kruk. Yeah.
Yeah, I love them.
Yeah, well, I mean, speaking of the Phillies, dude, I remember early on in the season, we had to tell you to kind of pipe it down. Like we were talking about the Phillies too much.
What?
You had a big crush on the Phillies and
what
Harper.
a great job Gabe Kapler was doing.
Yeah, and Gabe Kapler. Like this team was coming. It was great. There was no curse. And now we're seeing the Nats.
What?
Move through the playoffs without Harper.
Who?
And remember, I mean,
What?
and this
Who?
is in real life and in fantasy.
What?
Remember, Scotty, or if you remember, Scotty traded Harper at the beginning of the year. I completely forgot that
I did.
until I was thinking about the Phillies, and then I was like, oh my gosh! So it's like the Harper curse hits the Phillies as well in real life.
If you were writing a story and that was your story, then yes, everything kind of did fall into place this year. Scotty did trade Harper, and I got him. I was favored, and I didn't make it, and Scotty won. The Nationals got rid of Harper, and the Phillies got him, and they were favored, and they didn't make it, and the Nationals are still playing. So technically, yes, I guess it looks like there may be a curse. Yes.
Fucking Harper, man. We tried to tell you. What the fuck? That guy is he's bad. So trade him.
Let's
trade
not
him.
talk about him.
Trade him to the Mondays and you'll win.
Yeah, there you go.
They'll take him.
Trade him to me. I'll take him.
At this point, right? Yeah, at this point, it would either have to be somebody like very vocal about getting him, like Joe, because if he gets him and gets the curse, he deserves it. Or I would just end up figuring out a way to get him back to my brother just to see if, at that point,
I
if
would
Chris
really
won.
enjoy that. I vote for that. I would really enjoy Chris having him.
Complete the
So
circle.
Jack's team is a democracy. Greg's voting.
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying I would enjoy it.
Yeah. He would.
Jack, what's his rank? Like where did he rank with scoring this year, or among outfielders, or overall?
He
top 20?
He closed strong. Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Probably top 20 over, definitely in top 20 outfielders. He, again, not a great season,
but that's the thing. I think that's the root of the curse, is like he can, like, his hype machine or the promise of what he could have been leads people to believe that he's better than he is.
Well, it's not. No, he is.
He's a good.
He's generally better
player.
than he looks, actually, or than he's getting credit for.
Right,
this year,
right. But he's
even now. I
disagree.
All right, well, I'm just saying, as far as fantasy goes, I have him. He's a Philly, and I just said he's probably in the top 15. He was the number 7 outfielder in fantasy this year. So again,
he's good.
He's good. His teams lose.
Outfielder. No, but he's a good fantasy outfielder.
Yes,
he's not an elite of the game. He's just not.
I mean,
he gets paid like he is. He's not.
Bellinger, Acuna.
Don't take it personally.
No, I'm just saying Bellinger, Acuna, Yelich, Betts, Trout, Harper.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. How much does Bellinger make? How much does Acuna make or Mookie make?
They'll make the same amount.
Yeah, I think the problem is that Harper does really good for a few weeks at a time and then does poorly for a long time. And that's why, and in fantasy, the best players are those ones that do well most of the time, right? Instead of the peaks and valleys. I mean, Upton is probably the most extreme, Justin Upton, where he'll be good in April and is good in September, right? And he sucks for 4 months.
Yep.
Harper's just those peaks and valleys are a little closer, but I don't know. I can't imagine being a fan of Philadelphia. In fact, I mean, I guess it's not just. Right? I mean, think about this. So the Flyers, right? I know we're changing sport. The Flyers have a rage room. Have you guys heard about this?
Oh yeah,
what?
Yeah, the rage room.
Yeah, go ahead. Why don't you tell Joe about the rage room? There, Swag.
Is it near the jail? Is it near the jail that they had in Veterans Stadium?
Are they?
What a weird town this is. Like, the more we get into this, it's like, holy crap!
I've been there for 5 years. It is a scary town.
They're not doing this everywhere.
No,
dude, no.
The Flyers have incorporated a a room into the stadium, a rage room. I'm not sure the specific details on how to get in there or how often someone can. It does seem a little, I'm not sure if it's a good idea or a definite lawsuit waiting to happen, but
Is
supposedly,
this for the fans or the players?
yeah, the fans that have extra
it's for
rage.
the fans?
Yeah, the
I thought it was
fans
for the players.
want to get out a little extra. They can go to this room. They seem to put them in quite a bit of protective gear. I saw what seemed to be a welder's helmet, I think, and maybe catcher's gear or maybe a goalie's outfit. And then they give them a bat and put them in a room of breakable shit. And with glass and like to me,
oh my god,
the concept of here's someone to get out, somewhere you can go get your rage out so you don't fight somebody in the parking lot is not a horrible idea. However, the idea of
it is
somebody,
a horrible idea.
Jeez, what happened to just beating your wife?
What happened to controlling?
Oh my
yourself?
God!
What happened to controlling yourself?
well, it's Philly.
So I mean, for extra, can you like pay a police dog to attack a friend? I mean, really? What's that?
Right?
Oh my God!
Right.
What message does that send?
Slip the guy an extra.
We've given up in Philly. We've given up trying to tell our citizens to behave responsibly.
We're just
we're making it easy. We're trying to direct their rage into a money-making venture that will enrich the local tax coffers. God damn.
Yeah, it's classic. Okay, boys, let's get some coffee, Coke, whatever you're doing, and
Coke.
That's the Charlie Sheen story, really.
some people are pretty charged
Winning.
up today.
Woo!
So, yes. All right, talk to you in a minute, boys. Welcome back, bots. We get a lot of positive feedback on the listener feedback, so people really seem to enjoy that. And we got a.
Wait, Tim. Are you saying we get feedback on the feedback?
Yes, we get feedback on the feedback. Yeah. Hang with us, buddy. Take another sip of coffee. It's not too difficult. We get feedback on
I didn't enjoy
feedback.
the podcast, but that feedback that they gave you was top notch. Yeah. Sorry.
You should be sorry. That was all right. So, but here's the deal. So we got a note from Iron Mike. Iron Mikey sent us a note. So this is our first interaction with someone in the fantasy league and now interacting with the podcast through the magic of Gmail.
It only took 3 years to get one of our closest friends.
That's right.
Right.
That's
it's
right.
a slow build.
And I want credit for it. Yep. Yeah.
Yes.
You gotta. Yeah. I'm beating Joe.
The turtle moved.
Iron Mikey says, I do not believe that Joe can solve the Rubik's Cube in less than 2 minutes. Just saying. I myself have gotten 4 colors before on several occasions, but never solved it. Ever. Prove it to me and the rest of Bacher Nation, J-Lo.
Well, we can't fucking go back in time to when I was in high school, to when I knew the formula. I couldn't do it today.
Can you invest a little time and effort? I'll have Amazon drop off a Rubik's Cube for you. How about next week's episode?
Yeah.
While we're podcasting live, you see if you can solve it within the time frame that we record the podcast.
Might consider doing that.
That'd be fun, right? Joe's into it. Jack,
absolutely.
don't be jealous because you
That's
can't
how busy
solve it.
I am.
I can't either.
No, I can.
We're
Yeah.
all too dumb, but Joe.
Right. Yeah.
Well, there is that.
So Joe is admitting then that he can't do it in what was
I
less than
couldn't
2
do it
minutes
today.
Okay.
But I'm sure I could. I'm sure that formula is online somewhere, and you can go look it up.
You know what? I think I'd like to review last week's tape. Mikey, thank you for bringing this up. I think we're bit by
Greg's
bit
attacking me again.
uncovering the nefarious nature of Joe. Mikey, please go back and listen to the episode again. And did Joe say, I used to be able to do the Rubik's Cube in under 2 minutes? Or did he say, well, I can do the Rubik's Cube in under 2 minutes?
I think what I said was I could do it back then.
Oh, well, let's find out.
In about a minute and a half is
Mikey,
what I said.
go to the tape, my friend. Thank you. You're on to something, Mikey.
That's right.
Something important.
That's right. Good job.
One of the two.
More importantly, he's actually listening, right? Like, that might be one of the first times someone's actually referenced something we've said in the podcast, proving that they actually listen. So that's good too, right?
I think there's been a few others. Tito definitely has.
That's right, Tito. Tito. Sorry, Tito. Love you, man.
Yeah, there's a number of people. So,
true.
Justin, Pseudo Scout, future owner, has actually said some stuff. I know we've had several people.
Where is that guy?
Reference.
We're going to have Justin on to find out if he knows anything at all about anything other than baseball. Now that the baseball season's over, I would be curious if he has such limited and specific knowledge that you ask him any other random facts and he's like, I don't know.
Let's do it. Let's put a quiz together like they do. Yeah. How they grab people on the beach unknowingly and ask them like who the president is or whatever. Let's put a list together of questions that you should know.
Questions.
Yeah. But
have you seen The Godfather?
What beaches are you going to, Jack?
What's it? Like on videos, they grab people and just randomly
comes up to me on the beach that I don't know and starts grabbing at me and asking me questions.
Stop attacking me!
No, sir, I'm checking for your beach. I'm checking for your beach tag. Get away from me!
Get the fuck out of
here! I will defend myself.
Joe's been known to fuck up a Girl Scout or two in this day.
Hey, if they don't have Thin Mints, that's on them.
Get those cookies away. Sorry.
That poor old lady.
I had to make a visual there.
That poor old lady ringing the bell outside of Walmart during the holidays. How many times she's had to deal with Joe?
Stop ringing your bell at me, lady.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly it. That's where we started, right?
Transition.
We went from Rubik's Cube to accosting people who volunteer for the Salvation Army. Like I don't like that. That's a perfect example of 5 minutes on this podcast.
There you go.
Explain.
I think it's interesting that the violence that Greg projects on other people on this podcast.
Me?
No, I just see Joe. He's attacking the lady with the Salvation Army kettle.
Jack said that. Son of a bitch.
You get credit for everything. It's awesome.
God damn.
Well, you guys are blurry. I'm sitting too close to the screen. I can't tell who's who.
Oh, geez. I'm the handsome one.
There's 3 shiny foreheads and a Nike hat.
This is from the guy who imagined Greg murdering him with a car. I don't know about projecting violence.
Jesus
what that means?
Christ.
Yeah, I just.
All right, point taken.
Okay.
Yeah.
I apologize, Greg, but not really.
I apologize too.
Is that a
Joe.
threat?
No, it's a fact. Joe, everything's a threat to Joe. That'll be $2.30 toll. Is that a threat? Are you threatening me?
He reached out at me. I thought he was going to strike me. Sir, he was reaching out for the toll.
He was handing you a straw, sir.
I did go through a toll booth here one time, and I swear to God it was Billy Bob Thornton.
That'd be 25 cents.
What'd you say? Are you threatening me?
No,
See,
I just gave him the quarter and drove off.
Did you say, are you trying to cast me in the Sling Blade 2 without telling me?
Greg, you mentioned HR Courtney, and I know that she gave us some feedback. So I don't know if you wanted to share some of that feedback with Bacher Nation.
Her or her lawyer?
No, she did.
You can say, do I need to leave the room?
No, Clowney, you're good. But
no.
Yeah, but I know that she kind of got you a little riled up.
Well, she did. HR Courtney and I go way back. We worked together, and she is indeed an HR professional. And as a professional, I often found her insights and advice questionable. Let's just say that. But as a friend, she's a super cool chick. Although now that I say that, I realize that I've just done again what she chastised me for doing in episodes. So she's a faithful super fan. She's a super fan.
She is.
And that's great. And so I love her from that perspective. And she's a very cool woman. Yes, woman. Because HR Courtney wrote into the show saying, you know what, guys? Or no, you know what, Greg? Loving this season. You guys are doing a great job. But, what's with the calling every girl a girl and they're women, Greg. They're women. And so I'm gonna get it specifically here because it was so incensing to me. Here's the exchange. Here's what she wrote in. 7 minutes into the non-baseball version, and I don't know what is ahead of me, but I'm in. That's great. And I was like, okay. It was definitely a working draft of what's to come. Next week's will be spot on. I appreciate the support. And she wrote back very lovingly, I appreciate the entertainment. But then it happened. She dropped the bomb. The other shoe fell. She wrote, but can you please stop calling the people you date girls? Your daughter's a girl. Hopefully these are women.
Oh.
And I wrote, get over yourself, lace curtain. That's what I always call her. Because she's Irish, and I always call her lace. She's a lace curtain Irish, if I don't know if you guys know what that means.
What does that mean?
No idea.
Oh, God. Well, all the Irish listeners will know, but lace curtain Irish are they're the Irish people who had a little bit of money. And so they thought that, their shit didn't stink. They thought they were better than the rest of us working class Irish because they had lace curtains. Oh, look at my lace curtain.
Okay, all right,
Mix
gotcha.
7. Oh, my lace curtains, And I wrote, I call my friends boys and guys and women, gals and girls. And then I wrote, Dame Judi Dench and Kamala Harris are women. And that's how I stay youthful. It was really disappointing because she is a woman who I think understands me. So for her to have that unwarranted attack against my character, yeah, Courtney, I'm speaking to you directly. It hurts. Is that funny, Joe?
The face you made when you said it hurts.
Well, the face of pain.
If only Courtney could have seen that.
I'm projecting violence onto Joe, but yet I just revealed that I've been wounded by a friend, and Joe's breaking up.
Unbelievable.
But I'm on the attack here. There are consequences to running afoul of GK.
Uh-oh.
And now that was a threat.
Well, no. Joe, who are you? Are you trying to make good with Gay Truck Courtney? She doesn't like you. You're a monster.
No, she's already going to hate me for when I said bitch can't hang, get rid of her.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Anyway, not talking about Courtney, talking about the other one.
Anyway.
Joe's lawyer just got a call.
So I maintain a list in my head of the girls that I know, and especially the ones who I'm friends with on Facebook, who I kind of rank them as the ones who I haven't, but I would like to, get with. And so I'm lowering her on that ranking based upon her poor attitude.
That's your threat that you...
No, it's not a threat, Tim. It's a fact.
Oh, it's a fact. So that's
happened.
You've actually knocked her down a couple of...
She's pushed out of my top 10.
She's probably breathing a lot easier now.
Yeah. She was solidly in the 5 to 7 range, but now she's pushed out of the top 10. You guys do that, right? You rank the women on your friends' Facebooks and your Facebooks about, how, for lack of a better term, bangable they are.
Of course.
Jesus Christ.
Right, Tim?
I mean...
No.
Admit it.
Oh.
No.
Tim, you're a man, for God's sakes. You're married, but you're a human, for Christ's sake. You guys... So, Joe, I'm sorry. You won't understand.
That's right, because I'm not on Facebook.
Or so it seems, and I'm going to get to that. This is a Jack Swag type of investigation, guys. It turned it went from a harmless amusement that I like to do all the time to kind of an expose that I'm about to lay on you boys. But
an expose. Okay.
For those of you on Facebook, you get friend suggestions, right?
Yeah, I'm so on. So
okay,
I'm not, okay.
Don't start qualifying. Don't start backpedaling, Gelman. When I get a friend request. All these suggestions, not requests.
And generally, it's people you don't want to communicate with because you would have. Well,
no, I have one friend in common.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Usually there's more than that. Right. And I'm like, well, there's a reason I'm friends with everyone else in that group except that person. So I'm good.
Well, I can tell you, one of the things that I do, even if I've never heard the person's name in my life, but I have a friend in common, if they're an attractive woman, I consider friending them, and I look at them, their picture, and I start to kind of assess the attractiveness or lack thereof of their friend list. Don't you guys do that?
Oh, yeah. That I've done, yes. Of course. Absolutely.
So, I knew you guys would be a little reluctant to talk about this. So I took the liberty of going through both Tim and Jack's Facebook, and I've identified the ones that I think are their hottest friends.
And this is exactly why I'm not on Facebook.
Oh, shit.
Shit like
you'll get yours, Joe. Joe, you got something coming to you too, buddy boy. Trust me.
All right.
Anyway. So here's my general. I'm going to get specific.
I'd like to
here
plead
in a
to Tim on this one.
I'm going to get specific here in a second, but I'm just being honest, listeners. I'm going to do a little report here. Some takeaways. Looking at both of your friends lists exhaustively, like I did all day Saturday.
Sorry, guys.
No offense to no offense to Tim.
Yeah, I knew that.
Jack's friend list is much more attractive than Tim's. Much more. and that's not an insult, Tim, because we have a lot of friends in common. But your Jack's friends are much more attractive than yours, Tim. I set out to find 3 to 5 really attractive women on each of your friends lists. I didn't even get out the fucking A's with Jack's list, and I'd found many hot chicks. Tim, I had to go all the way through Z, and some of my selections were admittedly questionable.
Christ.
The other thing I found out by going through Tim's friend list is that there is a friend of Tim's and Tammy's on Facebook named Joseph Machado.
Oh.
Yeah, that's Joe's dad.
What did you think of his attractiveness so I can let him know?
I didn't look. I don't look at guys' pictures. I just like Joseph Machado. Joe's hiding from us.
Joe's dad has more technical knowledge than Joe does?
I guess. Well, and then the other thing that I thought I found was that Scotty, I have a pending friend request for Scotty that must date back years. He's never acknowledged me as a friend. That sick fuck.
Well, after 2 weeks ago, he probably never will now.
Yeah, fine now.
Man, you're like a desperate insurance salesman. You're like so fucking down there now that you're like trolling other people's Facebooks, just trying to figure out like, oh
he
my
actually,
gosh.
it's one of his questions when he orders an Uber now. Are you hot?
Right? Like, I mean, this is kind of sad.
No, I can't wait for listener feedback because I know there's going to be a groundswell of support for me.
Really?
Because I know that other people do this. When they're getting a friend suggestion and they see, well, they know somebody I know and it's an attractive gal, that they take a look. I'm freeing people from the bondage of shame.
Well,
I should be applauded.
Yeah. So wait, you should be applauded for trolling our pictures and trying to find the most attractive lady. Like, okay, again, I know we set the bar low for you, but that's really fucking low.
I would have given $5 to be sitting there in the room, invisible, when Greg found what he thought was my name on your friend list, thinking, "I've got him. He's been lying to us all this time. I've got the bastard."
I couldn't wait to tell Jack too because. Yep. Your dad is friends with Tim and Tammy. I was like, what the fuck?
Yep.
Joe's friends with Tim and Tammy, but claims to not even have a Facebook to Jack and I?
Yep.
His second and third best friend?
He came across your dad's picture and immediately jumped up, pulled his pants up, and went to go make a phone call.
Well, you can tell my dad to ignore my friend request then.
All right, so we'll come back. There's I need to make a correction and a revision. Correction. Let's come back. I need to make a correction.
Tim's off his game. He's flummoxed.
I am flummoxed. That is
this
correct.
Segment is flummoxing.
I know. We just burned 50 minutes. So
football games coming up. Let's get a move on here, boys.
Yeah.
Sorry, Courtney.
I'm going to the tattoo shop again today, guys.
Are you getting another tattoo?
I'm finishing my sleeve on this arm.
What are you going to finish it with?
Like a
pictures from your Facebook friends,
waves, black waves, and then like a samurai face there.
He's gonna get all of our names misspelled on his elbow.
Right. Okay, let's come back. I've got to make a correction, and I think Greg wants to share with Bacher Nation an unpleasant experience he had at a Chick-fil-A restaurant recently. So we'll be right back.
There goes that sponsorship.
The important news.
Welcome back, Bacher Nation, and I want to lead off by just setting the record straight. Sometimes we say some things in this podcast aren't necessarily true, or I might have some facts that are a little warped, and I did get a kind of a stern talking to from Swag about my misuse of John and Jay Gruden, kind of blending them together and talking about his relationship with the Grudens. And No, so remind me again, Jack. So you know Jay, but I keep saying John, or is it vice versa? I keep saying John.
He knows Jay.
Yeah.
Jay was an Arena Football League coach, right?
Not that this is the week that you really brag about knowing Jay, but yes, this I know Jay from his days with the Arena Football, with the Predators and the Storm.
You know both, but your relationship is primarily with Jay.
I've done shots of whiskey and thrown darts with Jay Gruden.
He of the ripping joints and hitting on young ladies, right? Like recently, right? And from what I understand, you know him well enough and know others well enough that you had a bit of a text exchange with talking about Jay's recent events, right?
Hey,
so I don't know if you're comfortable enough to share this with Bacher Nation, but I think this is really important stuff. So
I appreciate you guys not putting me on the spot at all this week, Greg, Tim.
We do it for the fans. We do it for the fans.
Give us your truth, buddy. That's all.
Yeah. So again, I'm not good friends with Jay either. I know him again from the Arena Football days. In fact, before Jay started with Cincinnati, if you remember, and he was actually coaching the Tuskers, the UFL.
Okay,
team.
we don't have to know where he was born and fucking come on, get to it, dude. Yeah. All right, you know him.
Yep.
Next.
So he used to come by the office when this was the part of the story you wanted me to tell, Dick. So he used to, when he was with the Tuskers, he used to come by the
story,
office.
Jack. Just don't do it that way.
Yeah. On a weekly basis, on Fridays, he would come by the office joking how the check had cashed again this week. Check cashed again this week. I got a job. And he would do that, pretty much on a weekly basis. And then one day he came by and the check didn't cash and the UFL had shut down. So he got hired as the offensive coordinator for Cincinnati. Before he left for Cincinnati, I was actually, as I mentioned, playing darts with him and drinking with him, and realized that, so he used to make that joke again about the checks. Well, the other day when they interviewed him, that stuff came out on Facebook, I guess, where there's some pictures of him supposedly with a joint and hanging out at a younger people's party. And then
it was a skating party. It was at Build-A-Bear Workshop.
The next day, the Redskins just got destroyed by the Patriots. And the post-game interview, it was the same Jay that used to come by the office and joke. They said, "So, what's your plan for the rest of the?" He said, "I don't know. I guess I'm going to get up in the morning and see if the key works and go from there." Was his answer.
I read that. Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah. The key didn't work. They called him in at 5 a.m. on Monday and fired him.
Damn, 5 a.m.
So anyway, my buddy of mine that worked with us with the Predators and such just was texting him back and forth and basically sent me a screenshot of him saying, "Well, at least you'll have more time now to find some parties and some young girls." And Jay's response was, "Ha ha."
That was it. That was just
it was no denial, no confirmation, just ha ha. That was the exchange. So, so yeah. Good luck, Jay. I'm sure he'll land on his feet somewhere.
Can I ask a serious question, Jack?
Yeah.
About Jay and John Gruden? It stands out as noticeable to me that John doesn't seem to give his brother jobs. Like, the Ryans. I think of Rex Ryan and Rob Ryan. Rob had his own jobs, but if he needed it, if he got fired, then Rex would hire him. So if my math is correct, Jay was a coach in the Arena Football League when John must have been coach of the Bucks or the Raiders, right?
It was yes, or like I said, the UFL. He coached for a couple years after the Arena League. But when Jay was with the Bucks, or when John was with the Bucks, he did bring Jay on. Jay was with him then.
Okay, good.
And really, that was the only that was the only real opportunity that John has had. Other than that, Jay has been a coach longer since then than John has. John just so.
Okay.
So it's possible. We talked about whether or not he'll end up in Oakland helping him out for now. We'll see.
Oh yeah, he's a good offensive mind.
Yeah, he and he never got a friggin' chance. I mean, that was a fucking disaster in Washington from the get-go, and it's never become anything but.
He's a short guy, right? John.
Yeah. Yep.
He has a great head of hair, though. Wouldn't you say, Jack?
If I was forced to.
Yeah, I mean, forced to. He's a nice head of hair.
Greg, was he in your top 5? Is he attractive?
Well, if we were ranking hair in sports, I'd have to think about it. I don't think he's top 5, probably.
Like NFL coaches, maybe top 5, maybe.
Yeah,
maybe
absolutely, probably. Yeah.
Well, certainly not on the coaching ability. So.
Well, he's won a Super Bowl. I mean, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
With Dungy's team,
we could argue.
I mean, he doesn't have the track record of success as the Chiefs coaches, but pretty good.
He's won a Super Bowl, but he had everything in place for him, I would say.
He's no Hank Stram, I'll give you that.
He's no Hank Stram,
he didn't even know the tuck rule.
He's no Hank Stram.
Didn't matriculate down the field.
The old Fumble-Rooski, everybody, led the Chiefs to the 1943 championship with Hank Stram.
65 toss power trap.
It's the old Statue of Liberty.
3 yards in a cloud of dust.
Jesus Christ.
Stevie Van Buren calls the old Statue of Liberty. The fans gasp.
Can we talk a little NFL right now? Joe, what's up with the Kansas City Chiefs losing at home? Like, is it the lack of receivers? Is it Mahomes' ankle? Is it the lack of offensive line? Like, are you nervous at all?
Is it a curse?
Oh, absolutely not.
Yeah,
yeah, it's a curse. It's the curse of playing poorly with too many injuries and making a lot of mistakes.
Joe's rationalization is air fucking tight, people.
It's kind of hard to win when you turn the ball
taking
over
on
and
water.
you have 35 yards of penalties.
Airtight.
So is this just basically classic Andy Reid, right? Where basically September he's the fucking Justin Upton of football, except he has no good end season. He just has the fucking good beginning. Is it that? Is it his that they figure out his 25 plays and then he's done? Not being able to stop the run was just
the offensive line, the defensive line, the receivers, they've got quite a few injuries. Their list is about 15 people long this week. It's not good. They hired some new boys, and we'll see what they can do.
So,
boys, H.R. Courtney, did you hear that?
That's right.
You refer to those men as boys.
Hey, boys, get out on the field. We need you. We got some injuries here, boys.
Bring back Edwards.
Edwards, where is he? Sign him up.
He's having his intestines sewed back in.
He hasn't hit 80 yet. He lives in Dubuque. Call him.
He's on the farm. Pepperidge Farm.
Tim, is Gronk coming back?
Possibly. I think he is.
Yeah.
That would make sense. I mean, his whole thing was he hated preparing, and then
he's like an old pitcher who comes back on June 1st.
Exactly.
Yeah. He's one of those talents that I think can do it.
Yeah.
But his back is pretty. It was pretty messed up, and his family was really concerned about his health. And
no doubt, but it sounded like he just needed like a legitimate break and rest where there was no pressure to hurry up and get back on the field.
Right.
So he could wait to get back if he chooses to when he actually feels well.
Yeah.
Well, if he does, it's going to be because he wants to. He doesn't need the money.
Yeah, he's one of these guys that did really well and managed his money really well. And
you guys see Richard Sherman the other night with Baker Mayfield?
Baker.
No, what happened?
Shake my
what
hand.
are you talking about?
You see it, Greg?
Yeah, they, the pregame coin toss. I guess I honestly I watched the video and I didn't really. I mean, I'm not an NFL player, obviously. I didn't perceive anything amiss.
No, but
Sherman took him to task for Baker Mayfield not shaking hands with the other captains for the Niners, and it was like that's college bullshit. I know what people want to get hyped up, but that's Bush League. He's a punk kind of deal.
But they ended up showing it, and he did actually shake hands with him, right? Like.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They end up showing the video later on, and he's like, again, I it wasn't like the full on bro, pull you in, hand over the shoulder type hug or anything, but he reached out. I mean, I don't know. It's just it seems like the game is again starting to become more about each of them individually than it is their team or the game itself. Or
Richard Sherman's kind of always been that way, and
Dick Sherman's a hypocrite. I mean, he screamed and pouted and went crazy on that female reporter, not on her, but talking about Michael Crabtree, and it's Dick Sherman was talking about like decorum and like NFL etiquette. Like he used the words I mean, he's from Stanford. He's a smart guy, obviously.
Is that anything like an unwritten rule?
He was, yeah, that's right. I think he might have used the phrase, it's an unwritten rule, it's NFL etiquette that you shake hands. But meanwhile, where's his sense of fucking, what page of Miss Manners did he read, berate a female sideline reporter about the inferiority of your competitor, Where's the etiquette in that? I mean, isn't that called poor sport, Dick? I mean, I like his game. He's a good player. He's declining, obviously, badly, but I mean, he's just bitter. I mean, believe me, I'm genetically predisposed not to like the Cleveland Browns, obviously, and I really didn't like Baker Mayfield in college. I do find him to be a punk, but you know what? It's a competitive sport, for Christ's sake, and if you're going to start pouting about a player not giving you a hearty enough handshake at midfield. Yeah. I like, can you imagine the guys from the 50s NFL getting bent out of shape about that,
Right. Yeah. Doug Plank, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Doug. He was a Chicago Bear. He's actually part of Buddy Ryan's 46 defense, like the invention of the 46. This guy, he jokes that he used to keep smelling salts on himself so that when he knocked himself out, you played safety and just from flying through the air and so on and so forth. So yeah, those guys, I don't think they gave a shit about whether or not they got a firm handshake from their fucking opponent before each game.
Well, I remember the old NFL films. Remember that guy? I think he played for the Colts, Art Donovan. He was like this crusty old guy, and he was always talking about oh yeah, well, we'd get him down in the pile, we'd give him the business, and they were like, what does that mean, Art? They were like, oh, we'd stick our thumb in his eye, and the game's gotten soft, right, Joe?
Absolutely.
Yes or no? All right, good.
Put a dress on him.
Dick Sherman, we invite you to come on and refute our allegations. I'll be directly tweeting you.
Ask Ronnie Lott what he thinks of Richard Sherman.
So we've invited. We invited this episode. We've invited Dick Sherman. We've invited H.R. Courtney, right, to defend herself.
Nails.
Charlie Sheen.
We've invited Lenny Dykstra.
Nails.
We've invited. Well, did we invite Charlie Sheen or not?
No, I guess.
Okay, invited Charlie Sheen.
But Nails will have the better stories.
Francis Ford Coppola, if you want to. Francis Ford Coppola wants to come on.
Yeah. So,
but no John Gruden, please.
Right. Oh yeah, John and or Jay. Gruden. But
either of you, by all means.
So it looks like
I'm talking to John Gruden right now.
Your lawyer doesn't let you be on the interview anyway, so it doesn't matter. So but I guess I'll see the same four faces next week then, guys.
Yeah. Yeah, boys. This time next week.
Yeah, we'll be back.
Let's synchronize our watches.
Listeners, don't forget to email us at atlasbalked@gmail.com with your opinions on Greg's earlier segment, whether that was appropriate or not. And yes, Joe, you can do it too.
Tune in next week, listeners, for more shenanigans and monkey shines.
Guys and dames, come on out, listen to this show.
Yeah, you broads, you can listen too.
Oh, that's
for you, Courtney.
Yeah, it's great while you're doing dishes and vacuuming the floor.
Damn.
Woo! All right, guys, we'll talk to you later. Great job.
Take care,
Bye-bye.
fellas.
I don't want to come off sounding like a male whore. I'm,
we got to stick around for more than a week to be
every other weekend. I'm with some other, and then I'm unkind and disparage them on the air. That's kind of the thing that I'm worried about.
Yeah, actually,
so nice.
It's funny you brought that up. As I mentioned,
oh shit, that didn't record. You want to say that again?
Recording. Greg? Well, I mean, I'm kind of worried about.
I'm just kidding.
So it's funny that you mentioned
that's
that.
That's not going to make it in there.
And it ended up me bloodied and walking the streets of New Orleans.
I'm not laughing at your pain, but that is definitely a funny image.
It is, yeah. Believe me, I know.
Or I just, become Joe and do the podcast for the next 12 years while my significant other doesn't know where I go Sunday mornings from 10 to
Well, Jack goes and plays squash every Sunday. Yeah, I don't know why he takes his laptop, but... Which one of these 30 people was supposed to be preparing my nuggets?
Pay attention to me!
And then inevitably, I almost said...
Nuggetably. Getting to him.
Nuggetably.
Jack, are you done getting the fucking mail? You ready to do this?
You should. Oh, you missed it, Greg. That you were not on the show one time, but here we were. Joe and I are ready to go. Jack gets up and goes, and can you see his kitchen from there? Like see how
to the left?
Yeah. So he goes and starts fucking washing dishes, and we're like, come on.
That is milk and cereal away.
Right, exactly. I think he was making coffee too.
You know what? I'm going to open up all my canned goods for the week and prep them and have them ready.
Exactly.
We're just
line them up.
Hurricane season started. There's no storms yet, but just to make sure.
My can opener's on his last legs. I better get these things set up.
Right.